Hello, I'm Sebastian. Welcome to 9 Trees podcast. Today, I will summarize and review the book. How to Teach Anything by Peter Hollins is a practical guide for anyone who needs to explain ideas clearly, whether in a classroom, a meeting room, a coaching call, or around the dinner table. Positioned within the Learning How to Learn series, the book focuses on the craft of instruction rather than subject matter expertise. The central promise is straightforward. If you can break complexity into manageable pieces, present them in a logical sequence, and keep people engaged, you can teach far more effectively. Hollins draws on widely discussed concepts from learning science and communication, emphasizing structure, feedback, and motivation as teachable skills. Instead of treating teaching as a talent you either have or do not, the book frames it as a repeatable process that can be practiced and improved. Readers can expect actionable frameworks for planning lessons, explaining abstract topics, checking understanding, and maintaining attention without relying on charisma alone. I will give you key takeaways from this book. Firstly, turning complexity into simple building blocks. A core theme of the book is that teaching starts with decomposition, taking a complicated skill or concept and separating it into smaller, learnable parts. Instead of delivering a dense explanation all at once, the approach encourages identifying prerequisites, defining terms, and arranging components so each step prepares the learner for the next. This reduces cognitive overload and makes progress measurable. The method also highlights the difference between what the teacher knows and what the learner needs at the moment. An expert can unconsciously skip steps, so the book emphasizes slowing down, mapping assumptions, and making hidden steps explicit. Practical teaching becomes an exercise in selecting the simplest possible representation that still preserves accuracy, then layering complexity only after basics are stable. This topic also connects to the idea of diagnosing bottlenecks. If a learner is stuck, it often means a missing subskill or an unclear mental model, not a lack of effort. By breaking topics into building blocks, teachers can pinpoint which block is unstable and repair it with targeted practice, examples, or rephrasing, rather than repeating the same explanation louder or longer. Secondly, explaining with clarity using structure and stories, the book emphasizes that clarity is rarely about clever wording and more about organization. Effective explanations tend to follow an intentional structure, setting context, defining the goal, presenting the key idea, illustrating it, and then checking understanding. This predictable flow makes learners feel oriented and reduces the anxiety that comes from not knowing where a lesson is going. Hollins also underscores the role of concrete examples and analogies, because abstract language alone is easy to misinterpret. A well-chosen analogy gives learners a familiar mental handle, while examples reveal how a concept behaves in real situations. Another element is signaling, making it obvious what is important and what is supporting detail. Teachers can preview the main points, summarize after each section, and transition clearly so learners track the narrative. Story is treated less as entertainment and more as memory architecture. When information is wrapped in cause and effect, challenge and resolution, it becomes easier to recall and apply. The overall guidance is to treat teaching like guiding attention. Decide what learners should notice, in what order, and for what purpose. Then make that path unmistakable through repetition, sequencing, and vivid illustration. Thirdly, keeping engagement through interaction and active learning, maintaining engagement is presented as a design problem, not a personality trait. The book focuses on shifting learners from passive listening to active participation because doing, retrieving, and explaining are stronger than simply hearing. Interaction can take many forms: short questions, quick exercises, teach-back moments, and prompts that require learners to predict what comes next. These techniques create continuous attention resets and reveal misunderstandings early. Rather than waiting until the end to assess comprehension, the book encourages frequent low-pressure checks that feel like part of the lesson. Engagement is also supported by pacing and variety. A teacher can alternate explanation with demonstration, discussion, and practice, giving the brain different tasks while reinforcing the same objective. Another aspect is relevance. When learners understand why something matters and how it connects to their goals, their attention becomes more self-sustaining. The book also highlights the importance of managing difficulty. If tasks are too easy, learners drift; too hard, they shut down. The recommended approach is to calibrate challenge, provide scaffolding, and steadily remove support as competence grows, keeping the learner in a zone where progress feels real. Fourthly, motivation, confidence, and the psychology of learning. The book treats motivation as something teachers can influence through environment and framing. Learners often struggle not because they cannot learn, but because they interpret confusion as failure. By normalizing struggle as part of learning, teachers can reduce threat and increase persistence. This topic includes building confidence through small wins and clear milestones. When learners see measurable progress, they are more likely to continue. The book also points to the value of autonomy and choice. Allowing learners to pick practice problems, examples, or the order of subtopics can increase ownership and reduce resistance. Feedback is another major driver. Effective feedback is timely, specific, and focused on actions the learner can change. It avoids vague praise that does not guide improvement and avoids harsh criticism that discourages effort. The teacher role is framed as coach and guide, setting expectations, modeling curiosity, and helping learners interpret mistakes as information. Motivation is also sustained by meaning. Connecting skills to real-world outcomes, personal identity, or future opportunities gives learners a reason to invest. Overall, the book portrays motivation as a product of clarity, progress, safety, and relevance, rather than sheer willpower. Lastly, teaching for transfer with practice, feedback, and adaptation. Beyond helping someone understand a concept in the moment, the book emphasizes teaching for transfer, the ability to apply learning in new contexts. This requires more than explanations. It calls for structured practice, spaced review, and varied examples that show where the idea works and where it does not. Practice should be designed to target the underlying skill, not just mimic the teacher demonstration. The book also highlights iterative improvement in teaching itself. Instructors should treat each lesson as a test, observe what confused learners, what questions kept appearing, and where engagement dipped. Those signals become inputs for redesigning the next session. Another key is adapting to different learning styles in the practical sense of different preferences and starting points, not a rigid labeling system. Some learners need more visuals, others need verbal walkthroughs, others need immediate hands-on trials. The teacher can adjust representation while preserving the same core content. Transfer is also strengthened when learners articulate what they learned in their own words, explain the reasoning behind steps, and practice retrieving knowledge without prompts. In this way, teaching becomes a cycle of explanation, application, feedback, and refinement aimed at lasting capability. In conclusion, this book is best for managers, trainers, tutors, parents, coaches, and subject matter experts who often need to explain things but have never been taught how to teach. It also fits students and professionals who want to communicate ideas more persuasively, because the same skills that create good lessons also improve presentations and onboarding. The practical benefit is a repeatable system. Break down a topic, sequence it intelligently, explain it with concrete examples, and verify learning through active practice. That combination can save time, reduce frustration, and improve results for both teacher and learner. It can also improve relationships, since clear teaching lowers the tension that comes from misunderstandings and mismatched expectations. Compared to many teaching books that lean heavily on classroom theory or academic jargon, Hollins tends to focus on actionable principles that can be used immediately in everyday settings. The emphasis on engagement and motivation makes the advice especially useful for teaching adults, colleagues, and self-directed learners. If you want a compact, skills-first guide that helps you explain complex topics clearly while keeping people attentive, it is a worthwhile purchase in the broader learning and productivity space. If you would like to support Peter Hollins, you can buy the book through the Amazon link I've provided in the podcast description. After reading the book, please let me know what you think and share your thoughts. See you around.